The whole reason why I think I want to attach this to this video is because for me, growing up in a minority um, neighborhood, working class neighborhood, um, you, for my parents, being that they came from that generation, the Gen Z, sorry, Gen X, or the Boomer generation, my mom didn't have, excuse me, my mom didn't have that financial literacy. And although she wanted to, I think she didn't. She couldn't. Obviously, she was single, raising us, three kids, and didn't have the real support of my father and that financial stability. She just did what she had to do to survive. We never went hungry. We had always had food on the table, so I'm thankful and grateful. So there's no complaints from my side. So I really wanted to jump on. We're talking about finances, and we're talking about how to really uh, manage your personal finances. Right? There's no one size fits all. Everybody has their own way. Like I said in my last videos, there's no one step by step process that only works. Right? There's multiple steps. Everybody has their own way. You're gonna find countless channels and countless individuals with different steps and models, and they all work perfectly fine as long as you have, as we said before, the foundations and the principles and the mindset, right? The beliefs for yourself and the mindset to do it. Like just like anything else, it starts with you, and no matter what you're using, what vehicle you're using, or what concept, it's on you. So I really wanted to share a quick, kind of a personal story on. I feel that lately I've been coming across the misconception that we kind of see that we feel maybe I guess like the my last video was talking about different generations that like, right I'm a millennial, my daughter I believe is a Gen Z, then you have the Gen X generation where also called the boomers in a way, and that's my parents and that generation, how it affected me and how it's affecting my daughter, and in a way how it affects a lot of females, because and it's all my personal opinion, right? It's not like this concrete, but for the most part, what I've seen, the traditional method was for the male to go to work and the female to stay home, or the mom of the house, stay home and watch over the family and raise the children and take care of the house and do all the chores and basically be like the 90% housemaid of the house, and the man just went to work and came back and pretty much took care of the finances. And I feel that in those days it worked because fortunately that those beliefs were that the woman didn't have the capacity to have occupations, or that was the only beliefs that they believe that they can only do that. And obviously we know that that's not true. Living in the new world we're living in now, men and women are equal. We can do what we want. You can work where you want. Yes, women still face a lot of obviously discrimination, but they have more knowledge and more ability to pursue their passions, right? Just because they're females or because they're women doesn't mean that they can't work a certain trade or a certain job or a certain profession. Obviously, back in the days, the women were kind of stopped because if, let's say, for example, you wanted to work in, as let's say a carpentry or let's say a mechanic, male-dominated industries, it was frowned upon, or it was kind of like that, not the norm. So you were like not giving the opportunities that a male would have been given, and unfortunately, it sucks. Like obviously, we're gonna say that didn't exist, but it did. You're gonna tell me that it wasn't around, but it was. And a lot of women didn't have the opportunities or able to accomplish or achieve greater, I would say, accomplishments because of the role as females or as women. And that's why I always love to see stories about women in those days overcoming these obstacles and still creating a bunch of success and changing the paradigm and the shift in where we are today. And yes, we still need a lot of work, but we're a lot further as far as a woman empowerment, a woman discrimination than it was, let's say, 30 or 20, let's say 20 years ago. We're a lot further, I would say, ahead than we were 20 years ago. So the whole video, part of the videos I was watching over the weekend, I was watching a movie, well, a series on Netflix, and it was about, no, I forgot the name of the lady. It was about the pioneer woman that this is like I think right after slavery ended, and the North and the South kind of had their differences, and a lot of the former families that live in slave plantations were given their rights, and they were freed. Obviously, implied rights. They still were discriminated against, but they were given their rights, as far as like given their freedom, and they were trying to make it on their way. And females at that time were also had another discrimination where it wasn't, not only were their race a issue, but also the fact that they were females, right, women. They were kind of like double obstacles in their way. So it was really motivating for me, really inspiring, because the fact that the lady, and she was a really huge, or is one of the huge pioneers in especially now in Black history, and not to be obviously not to sound kind of like dumbing it down, but these great icons or great examples of obviously African American history were not really taught to us in my public education. We really just saw like obviously the mainstream, which is obviously Martin Luther King, which obviously are great pioneers, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman. So we have these individuals that we learned about, but there's a lot more that we didn't really come into contact as far as like how much impact they had in our society and have had throughout society. So that's whole nother video about that. But when it comes to the female situation or the woman situation, long story short, she overcame a lot of obstacles. She was doubted all her career. She basically came out with her own hair care product, like hair oils, especially for all women, to help their hair grow naturally, without any chemicals, stuff like that. Just natural ingredients, and her products worked. They were used by many, obviously in her community, largely African American, but it was very popular throughout the North, where everybody had their freedom. So women can choose to go and buy these things. And even though all those things were in her way, obstacles as far as her race and her woman, sexual rotation, let's put it that way, she still was able to succeed and created an empire. And kind of like I said, I never really read about it until I saw the series. But she basically created one of the first, if you think about it, kind of a national empire in the nation itself, in the country, of her products. And she was able to go to different states and open up her salons and share her products and sell them and help out not only her community but also make a profit. And she also helped many others in need and gave jobs to her. A lot of her mostly were obviously African American women, were kind of held back in those communities because they were women. So she gave them the chances of obviously better jobs, careers, and was able to, I would say, create a social change within also creating success for herself. So the whole reason why I think I want to attach this to this video is because for me, growing up in a minority neighborhood, working class neighborhood, for my parents, being that they came from that generation, the Gen Z, sorry, Gen X, or the Boomer generation. My mom didn't have, excuse me, my mom didn't have that financial literacy, and although she wanted to, I think she didn't. She couldn't. Obviously, she was single, raising us, three kids, and didn't have the real support of my father and that financial stability. She just did what she had to do to survive. We never went hungry. We had always had food on the table, so I'm thankful and grateful. So there's no complaints from my side. But don't I think the reason what I saw growing up is what I kind of really wanted to, kind of motivated me in a sense to learn from her way of living, and hopefully having a different approach for me as far as my finances. And that's why I'm very passionate about personal finances, and why I started just really coming on here and really sharing some of the foundations and how we can kind of get control of it, and how to access these easy things that we have at our fingertips, especially nowadays. We have a lot more information, a lot more help. There's so many channels on here. There's so many podcasts. There's so many books and articles that I feel that my mom didn't have at that time. So I can't really put it all on her, but I know her generation, the women weren't really given that empowerment because they weren't supposed to do it on their own, or they didn't feel like the woman had the capacity. And I feel like, we all talking about the Me Too movement and all this woman empowerment. Any females that are watching this, any woman, please, make an effort for yourself to learn about your own personal finances. If you have a partner, work on it together. Don't just make sure that you both have a transparency on your personal finances. If you live with somebody, you're married, whatever it may be. I feel that it's kind of been maybe it's my personal experience, but society kind of gives the beliefs that the woman just kind of sit back and the men take care of everything, or the men take care of the financial stuff, and women just do the motherly, as we call them, duties. But I feel like in any situation, in any relationship, in any part of life, and nowadays our women are more empowered than ever. They have access to so many things. They're smarter. They have knowledge. They have more, I would say, abilities as far as like flexibility with workplace. They have a lot more help for the most likely from their partners. So in this whole personal finance journey, if there's one group that I would love to maybe even target, would be females and women. I say females and women because sometimes people don't like to be called females. I'm not sure. So I don't want to be sounding like I'm only speaking the wrong term. So especially women, and especially if you just come out of college, if you're a young female, because your finances are going to give you the options and the opportunities that, if you learn about it and you put some practice in, and you kind of just put some time into your actions and habits as far as your personal finances, in the long run, you're going to have more opportunities and more options. Sometimes, because of finances or personal finances, sometimes females are forced, or again, I would say women, are forced into doing things they might not want to do. Right? They might have to take a job they don't want to take, because they might not have no options. They might have to live with a certain partner, or live with their parents, or live with their family members because they have no other options. And unfortunately, it affects the livelihood of all our, I would say, all our women, whether it's my mother, whether it's my aunts, cousins. This is the kind of the cycle that I've seen. I know there's different generation, and we're a different world now, but it affects us as the millennials as well, because a lot of also women have to support their parents, or including myself. I know, your parents are still like, unless they were very smart or very, I would say, Not necessarily not hardworking, because they were all hard workers. All our parents were hard workers. You cannot deny that. But if they weren't savvy or smart or had some type of advice to help themselves as financial, finances wise, most of them relied on the government to come and help them. And now they're a certain age and they're waiting for the government. They realize that it wasn't what they thought it was going to be, right? Unless they have a good pension, or they saved up in their whatever it is, job annuity or job 401k, if they had in their companies, which a lot of, let's be honest, a lot of minorities didn't invest in that. Most likely it was pension or their social security that they're getting now. So a lot of them are waiting for those benefits, and they were waiting for these things, and now they're seeing it, and it's not what they thought, and they're being forced to kind of fall back on their, obviously, their children, relatives, loved ones, friends. So it's kind of like a great example of, right now, we all think, I know myself, you know, it's not important for me to learn about my personal finances. I don't really care. I only live once. I'm going to do what I do with my money. I only get it once, and I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow. Great. I'm the same believer. I do think that we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But just in case, just in case we do live to another 50 years, you want to put away for that rainy day, right? For those rainy days. And it starts only with a little bit. It's just a little bit of your income. And just know that in the long run, you're going to be able to have your own, I would say, security. Obviously, there's no security in anything, so I don't believe that as well. I don't think there's one way. Like, things can go south so many ways. We don't know right now, especially now. Anything can happen. We've had ups and downs in our economies for many, many years. It's part of living, right? Sometimes you got good times, you got bad times. It's just what it is. You cannot get attached to that. But the fact that you're doing your exercise, as far as putting away for yourself some type of percentage, and investing it for the long run, and actually putting in the work of learning about personal finance. A lot of also not realizing that it's not about getting rich quick. And I really want to just stop that right there, because a lot of sometimes people ask, well, what do you think? What can I do to make X and X in such amount of time? That mentality right there will keep you coming back to that mentality. So understanding that it's more of a long-term game, and having that mindset that I'm investing in myself for a long term, and not just investing in, I want to cash out and travel the world and make $1 million. I mean, I think most of us will love those dreams of winning the lottery, and you basically live the life where you want to live it. But a lot of individuals that have done that, if you listen to the stories, pick up some books, they did it for a couple of years and they got bored of it. So obviously that's not the only way to happiness. You want to see something that you love, that gives you passion. Obviously make income from it somehow, some way, and do that for as long as you love it. Right? It doesn't mean that you do it forever, but do things you love, and then in the same process of it, invest a little bit away for yourself, and enjoy those around you, right? Enjoy the people you love, enjoy the now. We can't. Sometimes you get really lost in kind of the more, as I said before, the more concept of, you get a certain amount of things and you want more, and then you want more, and then you want more, and then it just never ends, and you're never gonna be content. So it's about being content in the moment where you're at now, and also just, like I said, putting away for your future, but not getting attached to it. So basically not being attached to a lot of things, which is the hardest thing in our society, because I think, to be honest, I'm attached to a lot of things that I know if I lost them right now, my phone is one of them. I get a little bit of panic attack when my phone dies, or when I think I lost my phone. And it's not good. But it's natural. We all have it, I think. So it's just not being attached to those things, or try to be less attached to them. But if anything, what I really wanted to get a point across in this video was the importance of how the woman in your lives, the woman you have, if you're watching this, you have a partner or your mom or aunts or cousins, giving them the empowerment and letting them know that they have the power for themselves. They don't have to rely on anybody else. And 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 even though they might not be in charge of the finances, because every relationship is different, not only are women are empowered, and I feel like they should be, and they have to be. There's no, I think, excuses anymore. Like before, women were like, well, we don't have access to income, right? Before, the women were not allowed to work, or like they were, but kind of like, well, they go for a job and they were only good for secretary jobs or certain things that were womanly, I would say at that time. I would say feminist things, right? But obviously it wasn't true, but that was the society we had at that time. Now, a woman can go out there and do what she wants. Whatever she wants to do, try, she can do it. As long as she has the mindset, right, and the mental fortitude, she can go and do it and try it. And although they say this to have discrimination as far as like the wealth, I mean not wealth, but the pay gaps, they're still able to go out there and make money and make a living. So their mindset still, I think, would have to adapt to that. They have to be able to take care of their finances. They were used to maybe their, my mom, especially my mom, she never did finances. My dad did all of them at that time when they were together. But even then, when they weren't together, she felt that it was up to him to help. And when he didn't, then she kind of took that toll, and then obviously it didn't help her in the long run. So if if I see if I can make one of the most impactful videos today is just how the women are empowered, and all of you that are watching and are here, you have all the capacity to do what you want, and obviously you're already doing it. But I wonder if you're taking that same passion to your finances and making sure that you're part of the game as well, not just letting your counterpart or your partner just being the because of the fact that they're male, or well, they have to take care of the finances. No, it should be a both party system, and if anything, educate yourselves, and be right there. It's we all in this together, but personal finances and women are kind of in society back in the days wasn't really looked at as a like a thing, or like it wasn't like normal. But now I see a lot of channels that I follow here on YouTube, and a lot of Instagram, and people that I've seen that are a lot of are women that are financial, personal finances coaches. So the game has changed, and I'm excited. And I'm so proud, and I love this. I love to see that that they're caring about their finances, and they're actually helping us men to be better with our finances. Because I think, controversial to what we believed, women are actually a lot better with their budgeting and their investing and all the things that we see that is only male dominated. When at the end of the day, a lot of the women have a lot of savviness and intelligence and compassion and empathy, and all that thing works out for them to be, I'm sorry to say it, men, but they're a lot better. It's just about them, the women, putting themselves to it and putting in the work. So hopefully you related to this. Hopefully if you grow up with a single mom and understand why our minorities and how our neighborhoods suffer, is because in the generation, for me being a millennial, my mom wasn't really taught financial literacy. So it didn't really help the cause when you're being, you have no financial literacy in and you're living in a neighborhood that doesn't really give you the resources to be able to promote and help the females, especially women, in those communities. So what I love about YouTube is that we can reach to many communities, and we can reach out to many individuals on here, and we can all learn. It's just about us being determined and being obviously taking that first step. So if you're watching this, you're already taking the first step. you're light years ahead. If you think you're not, but the fact that you're searching it and you're actually like thinking about it is because you're already in that process and you're already ahead of a lot of individuals that feel that they don't really care for their personal finances. So don't worry about it. Don't feel like you're not enough. Don't feel like you don't have the education. The fact that you're on this video or you're listening to me, it shows that you're just already a lot more ahead and smarter than many of the women that I've come across, and all women are beautiful and they're intelligent and they have the capacity that I think, you know, I'm a father of three of daughters, and that's my main responsibility to show them that they have the capacity to do what they want to do, and do it, if not equal or better than us men. And I'm okay with that, because at the end of the day, we all are humans, so nobody's any less than anybody else. But again, if you like this, please comment and let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.